Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows. I haven't done a video of just me sitting around talking for a little bit, so I hope you enjoy that. As you can see, I've got sleepers here. I've got this little guy, and that little guy asleep here in my room, and everybody else is outside playing and enjoying the day, so I figured I'd do a video. So what I want to talk about today was I posted a quote a little while ago from Expository Parenting, and I don't necessarily agree with everything they say. But the quote was talking about how we sometimes will go from, what's it called, conference to a conference, trying to get spiritually fed, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it just made me think of a couple different things. So it was saying, we go to these conferences to get spiritually fed, but then are we spiritually feeding our children, or are we just sending them off to Sunday school on Sunday? And I've got a whole nother problem with Sunday school and other people teaching your kids and that type of thing. Not that it's always wrong, and we're not going to get into it in this video right now. But, sorry, I'm trying to find a good place for the thing. I should have got the selfie stick. But talking about spiritually feeding your children every day, and what does that look like in your home? And I can't tell you what is right in your own home with your age children, with the number of children you have, with your children's abilities or disabilities. I'm not saying that this is a one-size-fits-all for everybody, but we as a culture, a Christian culture, spend a lot of time taking in spiritual nourishment, but not actually letting that nourishment digest. I don't know if that makes sense. And I don't know if that noise outside is too loud, but we have the internet available to us. And I think even more so now because of COVID and people being in their homes, people are using that. And there are some great speakers out there. I'll mention a couple of people that I really like to listen to. Vodi Bakum, Paul Washer. We have enjoyed Scott Brown. I'm trying to think of some of the people that we listen to. Apologia Radio has some good things we enjoy. Dr. James White. So there's a bunch of people out there that have really, really good things to say. But how many times are we listening to a podcast or listening to a YouTube, and then we just go on and listen to the next video? And we don't give ourselves time to see what was said in the video that we need to respond to. There's a story by Paul Washer of doing, I think it was Paul Washer, but doing a conference, like a week-long thing. And every night he would start to speak, and this young man would sit in the front row, and after a short time he'd get up and leave. And, he'd come back the next night and the same thing would happen. After a little bit, he'd get up and leave. And when he was asked why he did that, he said, because something was said that I needed to go do. I realized I wasn't doing that thing. And how many times do we listen to an entire message and not take anything out of it to actually apply to our own lives? And then, how much time do we spend teaching our children something, but not actually helping them digest the information that we're giving them? Kids are amazing sponges, and they can answer a lot of questions, which is why we do a catechism with our kids. We ask our kids questions that they just repeat the answer, and that is good, because when they get older, if God reveals himself to them, when they get that saving knowledge, they have that information. That's how Mark was saved. He had a lot of information from going to a Christian school. He had memorized lots of verses, and the night that God revealed himself to Mark, Mark had this incredible amount of knowledge in his head that he was able to actually apply. There were all these verses that came flooding back to him that he suddenly understood. So that's a great thing, to teach your kids these verses that they might not totally understand. But also making sure that you're talking them through something so they have time to digest it. And I'm not trying to say that you're the Holy Spirit and you can force your kid into salvation, because that's not true. It's all by the grace of God in his timing and his elect people. But not to just throwing so much information at them that they can't handle it. We do about an hour of Bible study a day as a family. And so we say a lot of things that are over the kids' heads that they don't understand. but making sure that they're not just putting knowledge in their heads, that they aren't, that they're saying the words to please you as a parent. I have children that do not claim to have regenerate faith who could tell you a gospel message better than a lot of adults who have been sitting in churches for years, because they hear us say it, but not because it actually means anything to them. So I guess this is all to say, make sure you're teaching your kids Bible. Make sure that you're helping to break it down for them, as the Bible sometimes uses words that aren't used elsewhere. So you need to explain those words. Make sure that they're paying attention when you're talking to them. But also know that it's a work of God, and when He sees fit to save them, if He sees fit to save them, they will need that knowledge that you've given them, those things you've ingrained in their heads. But no, just because they can say the words doesn't mean that they're actually a Christian. I don't know where this all came from. It's a little bit of rambling, and it was something I just felt had to be said. We will talk to you guys at another time. Thank you for joining Hurting Little Cows.